Hello, everyone, and welcome to Psychology 4319 Cognitive Psychology. My name is Dr. Bernardo de la Garza, and I will be your course instructor this summer session for our course. I very quickly wanted to introduce the course to you and introduce some very key issues that we wanted to talk just in terms of the course syllabus and also in terms of the course structure, and kind of do a little bit of a course overview in terms of what our Blackboard site is going to look like. Like I mentioned, my name is Dr. Bernardo de la Garza. I am an adjunct faculty member here at our university, and I just wanted to present to you all this semester what our course is going to be like in cognitive psychology. I'm very excited to talk to you all this semester about cognitive psychology. We have a quick 4 weeks during the summer to cover a lot of interesting topics and a lot of very important topics that we discuss within the field of cognitive psychology. But at the same time, it is going to go a little bit quick for us this semester, but it will be quite in depth at the point that we're going to talk about each one of the topics. So, like I mentioned, this is cognitive psychology, and just to give you an overview in terms of a catalog description, it is the study of intellectual activities. Topics include attention, perception, pattern recognition, memory, concept formation, language processing, reasoning, judgment, decision making, problem solving, and creativity. We will touch on all of these topics throughout the semester, and I know that many of you may be thinking, hey, this is an online course. We have 4 weeks. How intensive is this course going to be? My job as an instructor is to present you all with as much information as I possibly can regarding the topic that we're going to be covering this semester, and in this particular case, cognitive psychology. We do have 1 semester, even though it may just be 4 weeks, so there will be quite a bit of work that we are going to be completing during this time. We are going to be completing a lot of online quizzes that refer to our chapter readings. We are going to have exams pretty much every week from here to the end of the semester, including the final exam. And then we also will have some activities that we have to engage in terms of discussion boards and also some experiment participations that I want you all to complete throughout the semester. So it is important for you all to keep up with the course because there is a lot of information that's going to be covered throughout the semester. And at the same time, it is going to be important for you guys to be able to time manage throughout the semester because as a semester progresses, I do understand and I do realize that you may be enrolled in other courses, but in my mind, this is a very important course that you all need to be taking here with me, and it's the most important class that you're going to be taking this summer session. So it's very important that we do spend the right amount of time with the course. Now, in terms of our textbook, the textbook we're going to be using this semester is the Matlin Cognition textbook. I've asked you all to get the 8th edition. I do realize there is a 9th edition. There is not much difference between the 8th and 9th, so if you've gotten the 9th, that's perfectly fine. I'll be working from the 8th edition, and the reason I choose the 8th edition it's that it's cheaper, it's more readily available online, and it's a lot cheaper for y'all to be able to access if you choose to be able to do online versions or even rentals of it. So I do recommend that you do get the 8th edition. Now, in terms of the course, how is this course going to work, right? Because it is an online class. It is a self-paced thing. What is it going to be? Pretty much we have 4 weeks, and then including the final exam, it's going to be, I believe, our 5th week that we're going to go into in terms of the month of July. But it's going to be a very quick semester, but at the same time, like I've mentioned, there is going to be quite a bit of work. So we will have traditional lectures, and the way that I mean a traditional lecture is just the way that you're looking at this lecture right now. That you are listening to the lecture, you are watching the slides, you are watching me give the lecture for that class, for that specific topic. Some lectures vary in terms of length. Some of them may be 20 minutes, some of them might be 40 minutes, some of them might be 50 minutes in terms of length. So here it's important for you guys to be able to look at each one of the lectures throughout the week because we will have multiple lectures that correspond to multiple topics and multiple chapters as we're progressing through the semester. Now, also in terms of the lecture material, I'll present a lot of information that's not necessarily in your textbook. And one thing that you do have to understand is that the textbook is there to be able to supplement me. I'm not there to supplement the textbook. So here, in terms of any material that I cover in terms of my lecture, it's going to be important for you to understand that here I'm the one who is really providing you with that content. Some of that content comes from other resources, not just the Matlin textbook. So I have other textbooks that I use as my basis for my lectures. So do understand that sometimes the topics of conversations that I'm giving in the lectures themselves may not necessarily follow the textbook topics or the textbook order that we're covering for that specific chapter. Now, in terms of the course objective, what is the purpose of this course? The purpose of the course is for you guys to be able to become a little bit more familiarized with cognitive psychology in terms of the theories, in terms of the processes that we look at in terms of cognitive psychology, in terms of getting accustomed a little bit more to using APA style, and also getting engaged a little bit in terms of the field of cognitive psychology through the participation of some of the experimentations that we're going to be doing throughout the semester. Now, after the end of the semester, what is it that I hope that you all are going to be able to achieve? Number one, I'm going to hopefully be able to have you all achieve that you understand key research findings towards cognitive psychology. Number two, understand research methods in cognitive psychology, their strengths and weaknesses. Number three, describe current issues in cognitive psychology research. And number four, explain some of the broader implications of findings related to cognitive psychology. Now, in terms of the course, there are a couple of ways to earn points throughout the semester. All of you are in charge of your own grades. So if you decide that you do want to complete the assignments, you want to complete the exams, the chapter quizzes, the experiments, and the discussion boards, that's completely up to you. You'll never have me emailing you and telling you, hey, you haven't submitted this, or why isn't this being submitted to me on time, or anything like that. If you don't submit your assignments, your quizzes, your exams, your participations, that's on you, and I'm not going to be following you around this semester. Now, in terms of opportunities to earn points, there's a couple of ways to do this. Number one, we have 5 exams that we're going to be taking this semester. Each one of your exams is worth 15% of your final grade, yielding a total of 75% of your final grade. This does include your final exam. Your final exam is not cumulative in the traditional sense. So in other words, I'm not going to be pulling questions from exam 1, 2, 3, and 4 for exam 5, but rather each exam is going to be building on itself because of the content that we're covering at each point throughout the semester. So at the point that we get to exam number 5, information from exam 1, 2, 3, and 4 is still going to remain relevant because it's all building upon itself. Now, I do not drop any of your exams, so all 5 exams do count towards your final exam grade. Now, we also will have a number of chapter quizzes this semester. Each chapter quiz is going to be due on Friday of that specific week. We are going to have 13 quizzes this semester, which is going to cover the 13 chapters that we're going to be talking about. So here we have quick 4 weeks. So roughly we're going to be covering 2 to 3 chapter quizzes every single week. So it's going to be important that you keep up with the readings for each one of the chapters from the textbook, completing the quizzes, and making sure that you do complete the exams at the end of the week as well. Now, in terms of experiment participation, there are going to be 2 experiments that are going to be taking place. Each one is going to be worth 1.5% of your final grade. The first participation is going to be occurring in our first week of the semester, and our second participation is going to be occurring a couple of weeks in. I believe it's going to be week 2 or week 3 that we're going to have that participation. But as we approach those participations, I'll have explanations in terms of the instructions and also what the purpose of each one of those experiments is going to be, and everything will be done online. So there's nothing that you have to worry about going to campus or anything like that. And now that will yield a total of 3% of your final grade. Now, last, we're going to have discussion boards. We are going to have a couple of discussion boards this semester. Here I mentioned 10 discussion boards. We really won't have 10 in reality. We'll have about 9 discussion boards, which will end up being about 2 discussion boards per week or so, give or take, and they'll yield a total of 9% of your final grade. Now here with discussion boards, I know how traditional discussion boards work, that you have a comment or a question that's given to you by the course instructor, and then you have to discuss something related to that. I don't do that. I don't like doing that, but rather what I like doing is I like allowing you to be able to have the freedom and flexibility to talk about anything that you want related to that specific discussion board for that specific chapter or for that specific week that we may be covering in that specific instance. So here it is important for us to look at that specific instance and say to ourselves, okay, what is it that I found interesting regarding the course lecture or regarding the material that I read or maybe the experiment that I participated in, and talk about that in your discussion boards. They don't have to be very lengthy or anything like that, but again, it does have to be something well thought out. So it can't be something like, I liked this week. Well, yeah, I assume you liked this week because I presented you with information this week, and I'm assuming that everybody's liking this week. But what did you like about this week? And discuss that a little bit. Now, in terms of your discussion boards, everybody has to do an initial discussion board post, and they have to do 1 reply discussion board. So just 1 initial post for that specific week that we're covering or for that specific chapter that I mentioned on that week's module, and then 1 reply post to somebody else. Now, generally, the initial post is going to be due on Fridays, and the reply post will be due on Sundays of every single week. So here with your reply post, what does that mean? It means that you don't have to reply back to everybody else. I know in some classes that you may take that are online, you have to reply back to everyone's comments that they made. I don't want you to have to do that because I know how the replies get. Good point. Excellent. I never thought of that. You make such an awesome speculation or whatever the case may be. I don't want that. Rather, I want you to have one single reply post to one other person that's well thought out. If you only do the initial post but don't do the reply, you get half credit. If you only do the reply but not the initial post, you'll only get half credit. So to receive your full 1 point is going to be important for you to do both your initial and your reply post. Now, in terms of this being an online course, it's very important that you all understand that you all have to be able to provide a positive learning environment to everybody. This is very, very important, not just to myself, but also to other classmates that we have throughout the semester. We have a lot of individuals enrolled in our particular course, and I want everyone to get something good out of this course, and especially to have a positive learning experience, not having anybody bring them down or have negative comments related to something that they may have talked about. So rather, what I want you all to be able to do is that if you don't have anything positive to say about somebody's discussion board post, or you don't have something positive to say about that person that you may be talking about in that particular case, that you want to send them an email or you want to say something to them about the way that they have mentioned something in class, do not do that. But rather, everything is supposed to be positive in its nature, not negative in its nature. So if I hear from any other student or see any discussion board posts that are negative towards the class, towards myself, or towards other students, or towards the university, or towards our topic that we're discussing, you and I will have a very, very serious discussion, and we're going to have to go and talk to the dean of students so that way we can make sure that you're no longer enrolled in that class. It's very important that you provide a positive learning environment, not just for myself, but also for the other students in the class and also for yourself. So very, very important. If at any point in time you feel that you're being given a negative learning environment, may potentially bullied or being given very negative comments in terms of something that you may have written, please do let me know that you feel that way so that way I can take action. Very, very important. Now, since we are doing an online class, there is no specific attendance in terms of I have to log in at any specific time or anything like that. It's important that you meet the deadlines. Again, here, the deadlines are very, very, very important. Now, I do have the deadlines set out for you all in terms of our class schedule. So if we look at our class schedule here that we're going to be working with this semester, I do have it broken down into our 4 weeks that we're going to be having, and then our final exam, which is going to be during that week 5 period that we're going to be working with. And I have all of the due dates given to you on Blackboard so that way you can follow along. And also what I'll do is each week I'll have an information sheet provided for you that will give you specific due dates and specific deadlines that you have to meet for each assignment that we're going to be covering in that specific content or that specific area that we're going to be talking about. Now, the last thing here that I do want to provide you with is just a very quick overview of what Blackboard is going to look like for us. Now, for Blackboard, it's going to be pretty straightforward and simple the way that Blackboard's going to look. So when you log into Blackboard and you go to our course site, this is essentially what you'll see. You'll see our welcome message given to you on the very first thing whenever it is that you open up your Blackboard site. Follow along, you'll see here daily and weekly announcements and also weekly modules. So if you click on the weekly modules link, this is now where you're going to be able to find our breakdown of each one of our weeks. So week 1 and what includes in week 1. So it's the intro to the course, chapter 1, chapter 2, and exam 1. Week 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and then exam 2, and so on and so forth. So here, this particular video lecture that you found would be under week 1. Now, after you click on week 1, you'll be able to find everything else that we'll have in there regarding your specific course. So exam deadlines or anything like that. And here, ignore the fact that it says this different deadline than what it is that we're supposed to be having for our particular course. Again, follow along with what's on our course calendar. Ignore that one that's there. And then also you'll be able to look at the course syllabus. You should be able to find your grades right here. As well, if you click on that link for the course syllabus, you'll also be able to find the tab that says email Dr. DLG, which is myself. If you go ahead and click that, that'll send me an email and you can talk to me about whatever questions or concerns that you may have regarding the course. Now, if you do have any questions or concerns throughout the semester, I am here. The easiest way to get a hold of me is going to be through email. I have provided you with my Google phone number, but it's a lot easier if you do just email me. I'll check my email about twice or 3 times a day to make sure that I'm keeping up with emails or any concerns that you may have. All right, I hope that everyone has a great summer 1. And if you do have any questions or concerns, please do let me know. And I look forward to having a great semester with everyone.